Well, Davey, thanks very much for coming on the podcast for a chat. We appreciate some time from you, mate.
No worries, pleasure. Thank you.
We've obviously got you on today to talk about your upcoming fight, but just before we get into that, we just sort of want to jump a wee bit into your backstory and speak to you a wee bit about what got you into the sport and what first got you into an MMA gym. Can you tell us a wee bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when I first started off in MMA, I was pretty young. I was like 14, and I was just going to like a kickboxing club. And just for a bit of fitness with my dad. One of my dad's mates coached it. And it was just like, just sort of just to keep fit, just so I was doing something. So I was sort of like coming to the end of, I was hoping to be an aspiring football career, but it didn't end up going that way. Do you know what I mean? So I started to do something else for fitness. And some of the guys were like rolling around on the floor. I didn't really know what it was. So I was like, I want to have a go at that. So I had a little bit roll around, and I turned out to be pretty good at it. So this was like back in maybe 2001, and like people who've been doing it for like probably only a few months, and to be honest, the level was really low. But I seemed to do all right against them, considering I was brand new, and ended up having a couple of grappling competitions. And I had my first fight back in like 2002. It was early 2002. It was like in a ring. It was like on one of Total Combat's first shows. It was like Total Combat 3, I think. It was like people still smoking in the pubs and that. Do you know what I mean? It was back in the day. And then after I got beat off the same guy in my first grappling comp when I entered. So I thought, right, I'm going to avenge this guy, you know. And I got him in my first MMA fight, and I got beat off him again. So I was absolutely gutted, to be honest. And then for the next maybe 4 or 5 years, I was just really sporadically training, like maybe just in the gym. I really didn't pay much attention to it in my teens, just like every now and again, and it was not very consistent till I got to about 19, 20. And then it was weird because back then there was no fights coming up. I didn't know about any scene at all, and it was hard to stay motivated. So I just sort of lost track of it all. And then it started to get a little bit more common. And the only reason, honestly, this is the truth, right, is that I went back to fighting. There's a lot of my mates started watching the UFC, and I've been watching it for years. I used to watch like all the sort of the early UFCs and like the Russian guys, like I know James likes like Igor Vovchanchin and all that. When that was going about, I was like right into him. So after a few years, everyone started to get into it, and I was like, to my mates, I used to do this, and no one even believed me. Everyone like shut up, man, you can't fight. I was like, no, honest, I'm not bad. So I said, I'll do some training and then I'll go and have a fight, and we'll all have a good night out afterwards. Do you know that? So I was like, I got back into it, and then started fighting, and then I just got the love for it then. But then there was fights coming up every couple of months, so it kept me really interested. And like I say, it just sort of spiraled from then. Like, and then I won some, lost some. When I turned pro, I lost my first fight, and in all honesty, I gave up MMA. And I just went straight into just Thai boxing, went to Thailand and fought and stuff like that, because I got battered off this lad. He just outclassed me on the ground, and I thought, if I'm not the best in the world, I don't want to do this. And I looked at it as like, it was like, well, I'm not, obviously not good enough. If I'm just getting beat off this guy, it was like sort of like he was good, he was decent. It was maybe a bit above my weight class, and it was just that disappointing. I went straight to Thai boxing. So yeah. I did about a year just concentrating on stand-up. I had a few Thai fights, and then just got offered a fight again on Total Combat, but it was like 2 fights in one night for a belt, because they were looking for someone, and then you won $1,000. And to me, back then, $1,000 is a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, go on then, I'll do that. And then I ended up winning the tournament, and then I think I went on for about 10 straight wins or something then, and ended up fighting in the Ultimate Fighter and stuff. So that was sort of just how everything sort of snowballed.
Listen, I think $1,000 for one of your early pro fights at the minute is pretty decent, is it not?
Yeah, definitely. Well, like two in one night.
I want to just find out a wee bit about that experience going to Thailand. What was that like? Was that your first time going out to Thailand and experiencing the culture? And
Yeah,
obviously experiencing how the Thais train.
Yeah, it was good. I went over with Reece McAllister, so he was already living over there. He was only young at the time. I think he was only like 17. But Reece's dad, Gaz McAllister, he was like one of my main Thai coach. So there was a few of us went over, and I got to Bangkok, right? And I thought, oh my God, I'm spending a month, and I hated it. I was in Bangkok for a couple of days, and there's fucking rats running about and stuff like that. And I was like, no. I was like thinking, I'm going to hate this. But we flew out to Top Team. What's it called? Top Team? Super Pro in Koh Samui. And it was like paradise. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm talking about. And then so I trained like with the guys in Super Pro, and then ended up fighting in Shoang Stadium. And I absolutely loved it. It was a great experience.
See that experience for obviously you at the time, a young fighter. See for younger, how big and how valuable an experience was that for you to develop your MMA career going forward?
I mean, yeah, it was just because you take yourself right out your comfort zone, you know. So I think it definitely helped me, and it was nerve wracking on the fight as well, because you just stood out the back of you just get warmed up in the back street. Do you know what I mean? And like the gloves, what they put on you, first of all, they tape your knuckles up by about that much. So then they put on the glove. The glove must have been in the stadium for about 10 years. It was literally just a bit of leather. And the hands felt solid. And I was thinking, this is going to feel pretty solid as well. Yeah. So I'm warm and nervous out the back, trying to get warm. And I start like shadowboxing really frantically. And this lad came over and he was like, oh, wait, it was Reece anyway. He went, mate, pack it in. You look like a dickhead. Do you know what I mean? I was like, all right. So I tried to just chill out and just Thai box slowly. And then the guy who I'm fighting, we both had to go and just sit on the stage. So we sat on the stage. Like right next to each other watching this fight, and the fight before me, I think it's like I was on a red chair, he was on the blue chair, or the other way around, so people can like look and get the bets in on you. Do you know what I mean? So I was sat next to this guy, he was proper chilled, I'm nervous, and then I'm watching the fight before me turned out to be a proper bloody one, no elbows flying everywhere, and I'm like, shit, it's going off here. Do you know what I mean? And then I got in and I did all right. It was good. I think I ended up knocking him out in the first round. So but it was a great experience, but so nerve-wracking. And it's got to add to just your overall experience of the fight game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. And it's one of those things as well. It's just a good life experience as well, getting to go out in Thailand and getting to experience that culture and enjoy yourself training as well.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I think I got paid about 20 quid. On 20 quid it worked out for the fight.
So you went for 20 quid to make, no wonder you thought the grant was brilliant, mate. That was a big jump. That was some jump off.
Definitely.
It's somewhere you've been out to Thailand and that as well, James, haven't you?
I was there 2008, I think it was. I was there. I was in Bangkok. I never got to any of the nice places. Bangkok was a shithole.
Yeah, it was horrible, wasn't it, mate?
The heat killed me, the smog. I was there, I think I never fought. I trained at Sassy Prapa gym, and then I cornered like 3 fights. Joanne fought there, and 2 of my main training partners fought there. But our plan was to go there and have 3 weeks in Bangkok, and then do a week at one of the islands and stuff. And Joanne's fight got pulled and changed to like our last. It was like 2 days before we left to come home. So my experience in Thailand was right in the city centre of fucking Bangkok. Yeah. The 2 guys I was with could do what they wanted. They were going out at night and going to the bars and doing what young men are meant to do in Thailand. And I was stuck in a room with Joanne cutting weight. So it was shite.
So you didn't get the full Bangkok experience then?
No, I didn't. Hell.
So obviously, Davey, one of the other things we really wanted to talk to you a bit about is it's the Ultimate Fighter. It's a show I've watched for, God, I think I watched the first one. I've been watching it for years. Obviously, speak to me a wee bit about not being on the Ultimate Fighter at the moment, but the lead up to getting on the show, everything that went into it, and tell us when you found out you were going to be on the Ultimate Fighter cast.
I mean, yeah, I was like you. I watched it, and I honestly, I was obsessed with it. I loved it. I loved the fact that you got like everyone just watched exactly what you were doing, and everyone was like, it was like just a massive test. Do you know what I mean? I love the fact that I was going to sort of put myself under the lights, and everyone would see what you were like and see and get to know you. And it was like, it was always my dream to be on the Ultimate Fighter. I just loved anything like that. Just going away from everything, and then just having a fight to earn this place in the UFC. it just looked like such a great experience, and I wanted it so bad. It was crazy. And then when it came about, I mean, I was lucky to go, to be honest, because I had the fight before I got signed. I got dropped bad. I was out for about 6 seconds. I wasn't even, when I watched the video back, I'm like, who is controlling me there? Because I was fast asleep. It was so strange. And then I came round and like in a fight and I managed to win. And then, 2 seconds, sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry, someone just rang me on my phone there.
That's all right. On you go.
So I was like a fight and I got knocked out bad. So obviously, if I'd have lost that fight, then the UFC would have never took me. They're not going to take me on the Ultimate Fighter off a loss. And I think it was like my eighth straight finish in a row. So I was so lucky to sort of get that opportunity. It was the second time that I tried out, and it was one of my greatest sort of experiences in my life that I knew I wanted.
What's it like? You're obviously like me then, and I'm sure James as well. You've watched that show for years and you see the house and everything. What's that like, walking into that house and going, fuck, I'm not, this isn't a TV I'm watching now, I'm actually in it? Yeah,
it was surreal in there, but I knew what I was there for. I knew, it's like I was so focused when I was in there. I was like, some of the guys were so immature about it. It was ridiculous. It was like they were staying up late. They were eating loads of shit and like treating it like a lad's holiday. And I'm thinking, I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to try and talk them out of it because I would probably start to fight them. So I was thinking they can do what they want. You know what I mean? And like even when we were going for like little excursions and stuff, some of them were like having a drink and that, and they still had fights coming up. And I thought, God, do you know what you're here for? And they was just so immature about it. But I knew exactly what I was doing. I was getting to bed early. I was getting up on the morning. I was doing my stretches. I was training hard. I was like analysing everyone. It was so even though it was a great experience, it was like one where it didn't bother me at all. I was just so focused in what I was doing and why I was there.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing when you see somebody get you. I mean, I'm assuming you see some guys that have been professional like yourself, and then the guys that are messing about. The guys that are messing about, obviously, I don't know if you want to chuck some names at us, but how did they do in the competition?
Well, to be fair, none of them made weight in one of the fights. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, but they were sat eating ice cream on a night and that. Saying, "Oh, I'm a wrestler. I never miss weight." And then they both never made weight. One of them I was supposed to fight he was on my team. I was supposed to fight him in the semi-final. And I was absolutely gutted because, first of all, I trained and fought with him. So I knew what he was going to do. I knew what he was bringing. I was already getting the better of him in sparring and stuff like that. And I'd fought in the same place already twice within 2 weeks. And I felt so comfortable, so at home. There was nothing alien about it at all. And I was so looking forward to getting in. And like, it's not very often you can get to fight a lad who you've sparred with and then who you think, I'm actually at a higher level than this guy. And I'm so comfortable with where I've been fighting. So fighting in the same place 2 weeks in a row or within 2 weeks of each other. And then I didn't get to fight him. It was a shame. I was gutted because I know I was, but I didn't want to be the guy who got to the final off a bye. It was, even though afterwards I thought, well, it doesn't matter because anything could have happened. He could have knocked me out. You just don't know. And I managed to get to the final, but it was bittersweet.
But then again, it's one of those ones again, you get that experience. That's something nobody can take away from you. And it's nothing else. It's a cracking life experience as well.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
The other thing with that show, we had some proper venom between the coaches as well. And obviously the females in the show as well. That was another dimension to it. But what was that like? Was that when cameras off and that was that proper venomous behind the scenes?
I mean, it was like. There was always just that sort of bitter rivalry between anyone who Ronda was sort of fighting. She was lovely and bubbly to me. She really was. She was a nice person. And then looking back on the show, it's all the other stuff, obviously, that's been portrayed. Not as if they're not trying to make her look like that. That's just what she's like. But she's also, with her team, she was nice and bubbly and kind and stuff like that. It was just... Well, I mean, she knows what it's about. It's a fight game, and whether people love you or hate you or whatever, they want to see that sort of that conflict and that rivalry, especially when it seems like a proper grudge match. People love that. Do you know what I mean?
What was the experience as well like having the female fighters come in as well? Because again, that was new to us too. But obviously used to male fighters, maybe two different weight classes. What was that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were talking to the producers about it, and they said that it must have helped out the guys, because the guys seemed a lot less edgy because they could get it. I don't know, it must have been something to do with like able to, mix with women. I'm sure like a lot of them would be getting just maybe like, I don't know, having a bit flirt on between the lasses must have kept the testosterone levels a little bit lower or something like that. So the guys were a bit more sound. They were saying, it was people, the guys used to be a lot more edgy with each other, but because there was lasses to break up the sort of the
sexual tension, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly. So it seemed to be a pretty chilled atmosphere. There was a few arguments and stuff, but they didn't really show much of it. It was, but like I can get on with anyone, me. And there was lasses there. Some of the lasses I got on great with, I still talk to now, and same with some of the lads. It was a good experience.
Yeah. There wasn't any let me bang bro moments in that season, was there?
No.
James, you've been you've had fighters go through the tryouts and that for the Ultimate Fighter. How valuable an experience do you think that is for guys to go through, and just that experience in the house, kind of isolating, having to fight, but turn around and make weight quite a lot?
Yeah, it's. Sorry, James, go on.
I think, well, we had Joanne obviously done it, Paul McVeigh done it, Martin Delaney was done it, and we had another guy called Andy Snape who was in a similar position to what you were talking about, David. He went to the trials and he actually got accepted, but he had already organised a fight in Scotland, and the day he got the letter saying you've been accepted to the cast for the Ultimate Fighter, you have to come back for, it was like the final meeting or thing, maybe about disclosure or something. He had a fight against a Swedish guy, and his head wasn't in it, and he actually ended up getting beaten that fight that night. Right. The day he got the letter saying you're in the Ultimate Fighter, and it eventually kind of cost him his place in it. That was a while back. That was like right there. That might have been the UK versus Australia card.
Way back and stuff like that, innit?
It was the same one, I think. He nearly got, because a lot of the UK boys that we were aware he got through, but none of the guys I know that have went through it and seem to have enjoyed it the way Davies enjoyed it. Like Joanne absolutely hated it. She hated every minute of it.
Did she?
To a point where I think she almost had like post-traumatic stress with it. She hated every minute of it. McVeigh kind of thought it was all right because he's a wee bit mental, but he lost his fight. He get made to sit on wait for about 6 hours while they're waiting on Dana coming so they could film the weigh-ins. So he's been in a bath made with himself in a hotel room, the Red Rock, I think it was.
Yeah, that was a killer, making weight on your own, like.
And then he's been having to sit for 6 hours with the rest of them, and then this was for the fights to get into the house type of thing. And then Dana's rocked up late because he'd missed a plane, and Paul's had his fight. But he was like, he got home, he's like, thank fuck I never got in. Like the week in the hotel was bad enough. And Martin Delaney was in as well for the McGregor season, and he had a pregnant wife at him, and his business had just won some big contract. This was when you were allowed to take a coach over for that week. So one of the coaches for the gym went. I think Carol was there. Maybe with Stapes. Carol was there. Carol was there with Sol. Carol was there with Sol Rogers. But Danny was phoning me like all week saying like Martin's more concerned about his business. He's just in this big contract that could potentially change his life for his job. He's wanting to know how his baby is, and like they just couldn't get into it. But it sounds like everybody I know that's been on it, you seem to have adapted to it the best, man. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. I like that. Honestly. Don't get us wrong, when we were just coming out, if they just said, will you do it again now? I'd have been like, I don't know. It was like a bit cabin fever when I knew I was going out the last few days, or like, especially when I knew I'd already made it to the final. I literally couldn't wait to get home. And like I say, if you'd asked us to do it again, I might have said, I don't know, but I'd go and do it all again now, like, definitely.
What's that experience like when you make it to the final, Davey? What's leading up to that? What's the nerves like? How does it feel in comparison to any fights you'd had in the past at that point?
Yeah, it was a massive step up, and to be honest, I let it get to me in my head. I did. I I was like just training just around the northeast. Sometimes I was turning up. There was only 2 or 3 people at training. We didn't have the best of setups back then, and I was still pretty fresh. I wasn't like down SPG with Carl and that. I was trying my best to get about and get some training in. And to be honest, I was just thinking, God, the guy I'm fighting in the final, he's training with like Uriah Faber and Cody Garbrandt, TJ Dillashaw, and all these like pure killers at Team Alpha Male, one of the best gyms in the world. And I think I let it get to me. I'm not sure. I didn't perform as well as what I could have done. And it was definitely just a big stage. I remember being finding it a little bit overwhelming. I mean, I'm taking nothing away from Chris Osmond. He beat me fair and square. I think, but you know, when you have them fights, you think, I could have done a lot better. I should have been a lot different. I was still inexperienced at the time, but I was good. But if you'd have said to me a year before, would you take a loss on the finale to get to the UFC? And I'd have said, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, that's it. And it's what you make it. But ultimately, obviously, you ended up, you're signed with the UFC, you're in there, and obviously, recently, things have been going good. You're on a 2-fight winning streak, and now you're scheduled to fight in March 13th.
Yeah.
And that fight, I was looking at that. Is that one going to be on Is that on Fight Island?
No,
Vegas.
Vegas, yeah, in the Apex.
The Apex, yeah. So that one's in the Apex Centre, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's Leon Edwards and Chimaev.
Chimaev, yeah. I think that's a fight as well. A lot of people are looking forward to if it's. Fingers crossed that one stays. Yeah,
great, Scott. I know it's been a bit cursed, that one, isn't it? One of them ones. But, yeah.
It is. And for you, how's things been leading up to this one in terms of preparation and training? Obviously, we don't want to get into too much about what's going on, but obviously it's affecting everybody at the moment and how you're training. So how have you adapted to the situation with regards to training?
I mean, I've just sort of been getting in with the guys that I can. Luckily, I've got my own gym. So I can go up there anytime I want, which makes things 10 times easier with all the gyms getting closed and things like that. So I've not got to worry about people opening up or taking risks. I mean, I know you've got like the elite athlete clause and stuff like that, but it's still, I think it puts other gyms and things under pressure. So I've got my own place. I can go and do whatever I want, get in my pro guys, and then so it doesn't really make a difference. And it was the same last time. This time I had a lot more notice. I got like 15 weeks notice for this one, and the last one was like 4 weeks. I was like straight off the couch from lockdown type thing. Do you know what I mean? But so I'm coping with it. It's like pretty good, and getting some great training.
Is it good for you? See, having obviously 15 weeks is a good amount of time to have.
Yeah.
Do you like having that extra time to prepare?
Yeah. I mean, it's always nice to know. But I also like the short camp. I've always been. I mean, I think I'm getting on now. I'm like 35, and my body can't do the things what it used to do. It takes me a lot longer to recover. And then sometimes when I used to get the long camps, I used to go into training because you get it ramped up as soon. You can't help it. As soon as you got an opponent and a face in your head, you just want to smash it. Do you know what I mean? And then I think I would peak a couple of times and probably go a bit too like heavy into the training, like early on in the camp. It would sort of be detrimental. So this time I've just been chilling. I haven't really been up on anything, just lots of technique, lots of drilling, you know. And the last one was a really short camp. So it was like, I don't know, you just got to, it's weird now because I've had the best camps and the worst camps, and the result is absolutely no correlation in the fight. It's like, as long, it doesn't matter what you do before and after, or sort of before that fight, you just have to turn it on for 3 fights. I just have to make sure I'm right when I go in there, and then it makes no difference whether I've had a 15-week camp, a 2-week camp, and you just got to keep your mind set. That's all that matters, them 3 fights. You can't be looking for the perfect camp, or it just doesn't happen. You know, you just got to take it how it is. And like I say, after the best camp, sometimes I've had my worst performance. After the worst camp, I've had sometimes my best performance. It's literally just about turning it on for them 3 fights, and that's it.
I'd love to bring you in that one, James, just in what Davey's talking about there, about sometimes that the results in the fight may not reflect how the camps went. Obviously, you've been a part of and been through many camps yourself. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Davey's pretty much nailed it. You get their camps where you go through and you've got niggling injuries and maybe people letting you down for training, and the weight's harder than normal, and you still go in and you absolutely blitz the 3-5s and the performances can be impeccable. Then you get other times where absolutely nothing goes wrong and you turn up on the night and everything just doesn't happen for you. It's such a weird fucking sport.
Yeah, definitely.
I found that I don't ever remember having two experiences in fights that were similar. They're always something a wee bit different. I've had the experience where I've had that kind of outer body experience thing where everything just flows, everything clicks, and it couldn't have went any better. And like that experience where people talk about watching for the side of the cage or whatever. And then I've had those ones where it's just a fucking slog. Nothing's going your way, and you're like, you get a wee voice in your head saying, just quit, like just get out of here. We'll deal with this later. And then the other wee voice saying like don't you fucking dare. It's just hard to get a balance. I think the guys that are doing really well just find that balance a wee bit more consistently than the rest. But what Davey's knocked on the head, everything's about the 3-5s on the night. It doesn't. You know this when you go to gyms and you see there's world beaters in the gym who can't win an amateur fight, and then you've got guys in the gym that people come in and don't look at, but when they turn up on the night, they're putting away like excellent fighters. So it's just about getting everything to fall into place on the night.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's that mental side of the sport plays such a massive part. And Davey, you mentioned something there. You mentioned you're getting up in age. So do you feel then that I'll try and put it in a nicer way? Do you feel then that you're maturing as a fighter then?
I mean, definitely. I still feel like. For how long I've been doing the sport, I'm a lot more experienced than like the amount of fights that I've had. I've had so many bad injuries. I mean, even when I got signed to the UFC, I think I was out for 2.5 years before I even got my first fight. But still, it's not just about the experience of your fight. I'm still going to fights with guys. I'm still like watching from the side. I'm still training with like. I mean, I think most of the stuff what I've actually learned. I mean, especially from my coaches and stuff, but it's off other guys, people I train with, people who are fighting, people who are going through the same thing. And I feel like all that sort of, it's just a lot of experience for adding up. And I still feel like I'm pretty fresh. I haven't had that many fights in the UFC, and I feel like I'm finding my feet and I'm getting better and better as it goes on. So I still feel like I'm getting better as a fighter. So I just want to sort of keep going. I've got like two wins behind us, and it's I'm going into this fight really confident, looking for a good scrap. And so the age it's until it starts physically affecting me. I know obviously I'm not Benjamin Button. I'm going to start slowing down and stuff. And for a bantamweight, you know what I mean? It can be quite catastrophic. But at the minute, I just feel like I'm still getting better and getting more experience and just coming into my own.
So do you think it's just at this point right now, it's just making sure your recovery during training, making sure that recovery is always on point?
Yeah, definitely. It's knowing when to listen to your body. You know, I'm at the point where now I can realise, look, I'm not being lazy if I want to have a day or a session off. I know I'm going to put the graft in if I need a day off, and my coaches understand that, and the guys who I train with understand that. It's because I know that my body's just, it's had too much. I'm not just being one of the lazy guys. It's harder to tell the guys to stop out the gym who want to train, who probably should have a rest, than it is to give like the lazy ones a kick up the ass. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
that's it. And on to your opponent as well, Jonathan Martinez. Obviously, he's in a similar position to you. He's coming in on a 2-fight win streak. So, I mean, both these are going to be coming into the fight and look to progress through the division. Have you looked much at Martinez? Do you pay much attention to opponents?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't study them religiously and like spend hours and hours watching the footage, because like people can come to fights like with different things they throw and stuff like that. I like to get a good watch of them, get a good feel. I feel like I'd rather let them worry about me. I'd rather just sort of like go in, know what I'm going to do, and like sort of implement my game plan and let them deal with that. So I'm not really a one who'll sit and spend hours and hours on. I'll watch, pick up on a few of their favourite things, what they like to do, and when they get put under pressure and stuff like that. Sort of the go-tos when things are maybe not going their way, or even when they are going their way. I pick up on a few of them and then work out my own strategies, and then I'll just and then you know what happens. Sometimes it all falls into place, and sometimes it just all goes out the window, and you're just winging it. You know.
Aye.
So I try my best.
So is that a situation then where you sort of get with a loose game plan of what you think is going to happen, but understanding that just might go tits up? And
yeah, I mean, what I tell my guys is like, what we'll do is I'll give them a starting combo. So I like them to have a plan. So because I've done it before where you go out and it's like, fuck, it's on, and it's like you're a rabbit in the headlights. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, fuck, what do I do? So I just like, so they don't have to hit it straight away. You want to feel comfortable, but you're focused and you've got a little plan. Do you know what I mean? And then after that, you fill in the blanks and you've got your special moves. So we've got special moves, what we practice, things what they've been hitting, what's been working nice for them, or what I would say would work well for against their opponent. And then everything else is all them, like just trying to flow, fill in those blanks. Anytime we see a special move, we'll try and hit the special move, or if we see anything else, then we come back, especially after the first round, and then we can give a bit more time or shout things what we think are going to work. That's sort of like how I'd like to do it. So I've got a few special moves, things that I want to hit, and everything else, just fill in the blanks and like just try and sort of win. Yeah,
and for you looking forward, obviously, is it just a one fight at a time situation for you at the moment? Are you and just try and move through the rankings and get up there as high as you possibly can?
Yeah, I never really look past the. I mean, I also got me like you got your goals and like the checkpoints, what you want to hit and things like that. But yeah, I just like to focus on the next fight. I'm never thinking about who I'm going to fight next or anything. In all honesty, it'd be nice to like sort of get a bit of a fast track. I'd like to go and put Martinez away, in all honesty, and then maybe get like some top 15 guy or something. That would be sort of ideal. Do you know what I mean? That would be exactly what I'd be hoping for. So that's sort of like the next plan of action.
So the ideal scenario is getting there, win quick, win clean, and get out, go home.
Yeah, I mean, I'll always be looking for the finish. Like that, you know, you don't get paid for overtime in this game, but it's what I always tell everyone is, look, go in there and like you're trying your hardest to get them out of there, but you got to expect a war, and anything less is just a bonus. You know what I mean? So you're not going in there with sort of rose-coloured glasses.
Yeah, exactly, perfect. And I'd just like to get your thoughts. Actually, James, you can come in this one as well. Just on your division as well, Davey. Obviously, TJ Dillashaw is, I believe he's scheduled to come back now. James, I'll get your thoughts on this. What do you think about Dillashaw coming back in and potentially getting a title shot fairly quickly?
I think if you get banned for drugs, especially EPO, that's not an easy one to get caught taking. I think it should be banned for life, to be honest. The nature of the sport is you're trying to find out who's got the better skill set, not who's got the better pharmacist, and he's taking a drug. We were talking about this in here recently, where guys are sparring, and naturally if everybody in the room's getting tired at the same time, the sparring's still pretty safe. But if you've got a guy in there who just doesn't get tired, which is what EPO does, it's blood doping to produce more red blood cells, which in turn gives you more process of oxygen. This guy's never getting tired, so his output's frightening. He's taking shots better, because when you're tired, you don't carry shots as well when you get hit. You don't have the same energy to wrestle in bad positions and stuff. But this is a supplement that, if you were to pick 2 or 3 banned supplements for a fighter to take, EPO would be top of the list. And he's been caught with it, and they've gave him a 2-year suspension. Whereas it's not like he's coming back to run a track or pedal a bike. He's coming back to punch guys in the head. And if I was one of the guys that he'd beaten this isn't a substance he's probably just started taking either. You've got to assume he's been on that for a while. I think he should be banned for life, to be honest. And I think the UFC letting him coming back, not getting a title shot's a bad example of young fighters. If they started banning guys for life, some of these guys are going to stop taking that shit. And until they do that, people's going to take it.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones as well, as I'm sure we're all aware, that the rumours have been there for quite a long time about TJ from his former team, obviously. Spoke about earlier, Team Alpha Male. David, just what do you think about when you see a guy like TJ who's hold the belt and then obviously been caught cheating? There's no other way to say it. What's your thoughts about when you see a guy like that come back? Do you almost have a suspicious mind, wondering is he still going to be taking stuff, or what will be like when he's clean?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I'm with James, and I totally disagree. You've literally got a license to kill in the cage. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It's like, in worst case scenario, things like that can happen. And if you're giving yourself an unfair advantage to that, and you're not getting tired, and you're like trying to end this guy, it's bad. And like you get a lot less if it did start just banning people for life. Do you know what I mean? Especially with a one like that, and especially it's not just like some sort of little say you bought the wrong protein powder or something like that. Well, it wasn't like you started approved or something. This is like he's been taking EPO. He's been having like proper doctors and everything do it for him. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's come out. He's admitted it. This isn't an accident. He knows exactly what he's doing, and it's a shame, because I'm sure he's like you can't gain them skills without being a good fighter. You don't need to go to those sort of lengths. It's and like if the alpha main guys were all on about it, how long has he been doing it? Yeah, you know what I mean.
It's a crazy one as well, EPO. I don't know how it would work with a fighter, but you hear the stories about like the Tour de France where cyclists are having to wake themselves up at like 2 a.m. to go and cycle because their blood thickens so much and stuff like that. That's insane, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, there's no chance. We don't need to worry about British fighters with that because there's no chance you're getting off the NHS.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Well, listen, Davey, we won't keep you any longer, mate. Thanks very much for coming on the show for a chat. We appreciate it, mate. And obviously, best of luck coming up in March.
Thank you very much.
We'll be watching the fight and hoping to see you get your hand raised, mate.
Excellent. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks,
no problem, Davey. Thank you.
Cheers, man.